me set this level right there. All right. It's Thursday, and time to find out how hot it is in western Texas. I'll bet over 140 today. Let's find out. The weather girl standing by is Devvy Kid. How hot was it today, Devvy?
89.
Oh, come on. No fair playing games like that.
Well, we finally got over our 16-day in a row, over 102 to 111. And amazingly, yesterday and today, we had incredible rainstorms. So we now have 7 days of rain since May 15th.
Wow. The weather is not what it used to be, as they say. It's different.
Yeah. Well,
it's different. Nothing is as it used to be. No. And
every day
tragically, it never will be. Every day,
well, yes,
in every way.
So it's
every day in every way. And they better get up and stand tall and reject what you and I both and all of you listening know is being perpetrated against us. It's really evil stuff.
Well, that's why I have 3 things picked out tonight, and I hope we can concentrate on them, because what you just said is they're going for the kill shot. And so there's things that need to be done. But, well, thank you for posting my latest article, Lies and More Damnable Lies About COVID-19. And in that, Judicial Watch has filed a lawsuit on behalf of one of the news outlets. They filed a FOIA, and its HHS has failed to respond. So they've been seeking communications between Fauci and Deputy Director Lane and the WHO officials concerning the novel coronavirus. And they're seeking communications of Dr. Fauci and Deputy Director Lane concerning WHO official Bruce Aylward, WHO Director General Tedros, and a home in China. Now, I also have filed a Freedom of Information Act request, and this is nothing new for me. I filed one after 9/11 having to do with the pre-knowledge of it at a certain level, and they responded, and I proved the conspiracy theory wrong. Mm-hmm. The second one, I filed the FOIA against the FAA for refusing to turn over these flight records over a conspiracy theory about where one of the planes landed in Cleveland. I knew it was a lie, and they refused to respond, and so I sent them a letter and told them I was going to sue them. And so the U.S. prosecutor called me from D.C. and told me there was no excuse for not providing me with the documents, and he was going to overnight mail them, which he did. I received them the next day and killed another irresponsible conspiracy theory. But Judy Mikovits, I know your audience is very familiar with her name. It's not a household name like Fauci, but, you know, she has spoken and in her book written about when she went after Fauci and the fact that the FBI opened an investigation against Fauci and that it was killed. She cooperated with the FBI through 2014, and then it was killed by dirty cop James Comey. So the Freedom of Information Act I filed July the 2nd against the FBI regarding the investigation of Dr. Anthony Fauci and the National Institute of Health. So this is what I've asked for. All 302s, and I know your listening audience is very familiar with this stuff, but 302 is the interview records in real time. And this is what proved to be the undoing in the persecution of General Michael Flynn. So I've asked for all 302s in possession of the FBI for all interviews conducted during the investigation of Dr. Fauci and any individuals employed at the time of the investigation at NIH.
Brilliant.
All emails generated by Eric Holder and James Comey during the investigation. This will include all emails from Holder and Comey to Barack Obama and responses received from Obama. All snail mail correspondence generated by Eric Holder and James Comey during the investigation between them and any and all agents who worked the investigation. all electronic and print documents from all agents who were assigned to the investigation.
Yeah.
This would be emails and internal reports, all electronic documents, including emails and snail mail received by the FBI from any individual from NIH associated with the investigation, and a copy of a final report or similarly titled document authorizing closure of the investigation. So that's what I've asked for.
You get that? That guy, I've been watching Fauci since 1989, 1990, regarding the whole HIV/AIDS thing, how he and Gallo got together and tried to steal the discovery of HIV from Dr. Luc Montagnier at the Pasteur Institute. They made such a ruckus over it that the World Health Organization, I guess it was the WHO, gave co-discoverer status to Dr. Robert Gallo and Dr. Luc Montagnier. Dr. Montagnier recently, as some of you may remember, announced quite clearly and unequivocally that coronavirus, COVID-19, is an artificially created organism. No question about it. This guy's a Nobel laureate. Go ahead.
Well, yes, and actually John Solomon, I should have brought it up, but I didn't think about it earlier. You know who John Solomon is? John Solomon
the name,
Reports?
Yeah.
He's a frequent guest. Yeah, he's a frequent guest on Hannity, and he is a top-notch, deep investigative journalist. He really does an amazing job. But he had a new piece out. It's in the last couple of days. I wish I'd had it up here, but anyway, he talks about Fauci's background and the trouble that he's been in for decades. And of course, the question, pops up is, why was he able to keep his job there? Why? I mean, if this guy did all of the things that, and it had to do with the damn it, Devvy. It had to do, let me see if I saved it over here, Jeff. It had to do with,
take your time. It's all right.
Let's see where here. Do not get it.
By the way, the Tony Fauci story is really dark and dirty for all of you who don't know. It's bad. Judy Mikovits nailed it. She just told a little bit. They destroyed her career. Her videos are more than compelling. They're extraordinary. Go ahead.
I found it. Okay, so Solomon published this on the 22nd about the ethics problems and safety controversies under Dr. Fauci. And what he says here is, let's see, this is exactly what Fauci's National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases agency declared years ago to foster children in New York, Illinois, and elsewhere, many of whom were enrolled in an AIDS drug trial without the promised patient protections. An investigation concluded that the NIAID's AIDS research division that reported to Fauci had failed in many cases to provide patient advocates to monitor the foster kids' health care as promised, and in some cases by law. And he goes into, not too deep here, but it says that the 2004 internal NIH review concluded Fauci's AIDS research division was a, quote, troubled organization where managers were creating a hostile atmosphere with sexually explicit and colorful language and seemingly being unaware of the need for appropriate behavior, decorum, and enforcement of good management practices, blah, blah. A pregnant Tennessee woman who died in 2003 after she enrolled in NIH-funded research in hopes of saving her soon-to-be-born son from getting AIDS. A review found that the doctors continued to administer an experimental drug regimen despite signs of liver failure. At least 10 children in the pediatric AIDS drug study died in what an investigation concluded was a death toll significantly higher than expected and unexplained. This guy is a predator. That's the word for Fauci. He's a predator.
You got it.
So I know this is going to turn into a lawsuit that I won't be able to handle. And years ago, gosh, it had to be not too long after 9/11, I filed a I'm sorry, Oklahoma City, I filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the Department of the Army because I wanted McVeigh's medical records. Because remember, after his mother and his sister were snatched by the FBI literally off the street and whisked away to a hotel room where they were kept hostage, questioning them for days. And the sister said in an interview that she gave that her brother wanted out because he wanted the chip that was implanted in his bottom. He wanted to get it removed because he was afraid of what it was doing. So I tried to do that, and I was rebuffed, of course. And at that time, Larry Klayman, who started Judicial Watch, founded it. I did not know him, but I called him on the telephone, got him on the phone, and he agreed to represent me for free. But in the end, they would not give up the records, and so we just let that one go. But Tom Fitton, since they have now filed this FOIA that's being expedited, if they want to play games with me, I'm going to get hold of Tom Fitton and ask if Judicial Watch will represent me in the continuation of fighting the FBI to get these documents on Fauci in that investigation.
Wow,
I believe
that's
it's
dynamite stuff.
Important.
That's dangerous dynamite. That's dangerous dynamite material you're after, and you're going to be.
Well, this guy has been protected.
Oh,
I mean,
of course,
big time.
I was obvious to me in 1990. Yes.
We know. Well, this guy wrote this book. He calls Fauci the Bernie Madoff of the science world, and I forget his name, but it's in one of my columns. I linked to it. And this guy's no lightweight, this author. I mean, he's a heavy-duty investigator, journalist, right? He's been at this for decades. And he goes into how Fauci hid all of the scientific stuff on chronic fatigue syndrome. And you can tell he absolutely hates Fauci. And so in my opinion, as I said in my column, it's time to go after Fauci. Because
it's way past time, but never too late, I guess. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I know that this will end up in a lawsuit because the FBI director, Christopher Wray, is a master cover-up artist. That he is. He is covered up. Look at these documents that have been released by the FBI under FOIAs regarding General Flynn, and the documents that are trickling in to Judicial Watch. Jeff, some of those pages are 80, 90% redactions. So what the hell are they hiding? And they've done the same thing to these Republican committee members looking into this whole bull crap, Russiagate and all the rest of it. Well, Congress is the one who has oversight of the FBI and the Attorney General's office. And here you have a director who's a cover-up artist. These people in Congress have the right to receive unredacted. William Barr, you're the big chief over there. But having said that, I do believe that should this nightmare happen to this country again, one of the best things that can happen is for governors and mayors, unless they're Democrats, is to see who this guy Fauci was and how they were led down this path of destruction. And that maybe if it happens again, you don't listen to one person or two, meaning Deborah Birx modeling her scarves. Debbie Birx
and her scarves are just a bit much for me, but
they took the internet by storm.
I know. I'm sure they did.
Where can I buy that scarf? I just
got that. Please.
Did you see Birx's scarf today? Freaking empty-headed women in this country.
Oh, that's true. Men too, but yes, no one is exempted from empty-headedness in these days. None.
No. Those types, I'm very fond of saying if they had two sparks between their ears, they'd electrocute themselves. But they're, let those old hens do their thing. They're not important. What's important is to show the country, and people better not blame Trump for this. Who did Trump appoint as his task force chief guru? Mike Pence, globalist Mike Pence, a dirty rat, a dirty dog.
Oh,
He's the one who presented Fauci and Birx to the world. So, in my opinion, it falls on his head. But going back to my column, that's not the only important thing in it. There's a lot of information in it, but at the bottom, we know you probably cover this every night, at least in some degree on your show. And now it's been growing for the last month or so. And that is the shell game. The shell game being the number of cases and number of deaths. Everything that these governors and mayors have done has been based on false numbers. So there are no confirmed cases. Confirmed cases is horse shit. They are not confirmed. We know that. How many cases have I read from people being interviewed? That one woman.
I've seen the same. We've seen the same material. It's unbelievable what they're doing.
A woman whose mother died, and her death listed COVID-19. The daughter said, "The hell with you. Exhume my mother. Independent autopsy. The mother didn't have it." We know darned well that a person's being tested, and then they'll be tested 2 or 3 more times, and those 2 or 3 times, the retesting, are being counted as confirmed new cases. So, what I said at the bottom of my column is that the only way we're going to get somewhat accurate numbers, and I have to say somewhat accurate, because in the beginning of when New York City was torched with this virus, that people were dying by the thousands, and they just shoved them in the ground. So it is unrealistic to think that you can go back and exhume all those poor souls and re-autopsy and test them, because they weren't tested. They were just assumed to have died from it. Somebody who had pneumonia.
The word is presumption of infection, or some phrase like that. You're right. No test, no confirmation. The numbers are. I've been saying this for a long time, and you have too. The numbers are bogus. Well, because they're not testing every one of them. Go ahead.
So what do we do about it? Well, I know that 4 of the states are now directly submitting their information to the White House. Because
wasn't that reversed? Didn't they reverse that, send it back to...
No.
I thought they did. All right. Well, if it's going to the White House, then we got in bigger trouble.
Don't be like that, okay?
All right.
The reason that they're doing it is to sidestep the CDC, because there's been enough of an uproar about the fudge numbers or manipulated numbers, however you want to say it.
Sure.
But some of these governors, well-meaning, I think, Republicans, not the Democrats, but I think some of them truly are well-meaning. They do want to, they don't want to see people, get it and die. But people are going to, and this sounds cold, but people are going to die from it. It is just a reality in this type of situation. Most certainly what you want to do, which Governor Cuomo did not do, he simply sent these poor old people to die in these nursing homes. But what you want to do, of course, is get out to the public that if you're immune compromised, if you're obese, if you have asthma or some other serious medical condition, that you are the person who needs to be protected. But you don't quarantine a healthy population. These cases that we're seeing now, these are all under age 50. Most of them are 18 to 34. And they're the ones with the healthy immune systems. So, and of course and Dr. Witnowski said this back in March, the numbers that you really want to see are the asymptomatic people. That's going to tell you a whole lot.
But they have to be tested legitimately, honorably, scientifically accurately, and confirmed, or you cannot deal with them. And these numbers. Here's the other side of that coin. I believe that this virus, this coronavirus, has gone through at least half of the population by now. I think it is running completely amok. It is that highly contagious. The death rates apparently are down almost across the board, if not across the board. Something's changing. It seems to me that it is, I won't say mutating, but it is weakening. That's what I read last week in one very good essay. There have been a number of them. We got to do a break here. Do you want to just go ahead? No, I want to make sure you get all your material.
Sponsors are what allows you to be on the air, so it's very important.
All right, thanks, Devvy. Okay, hang on. We'll be right back with more. Okay, right back to it. Devvy Kid is here. Remarkable when you think about the potential of getting that documentation. Oh my. Talk about redaction.
Well, yeah. Well, if you look on Jeff's website at rense.com, on the left and scroll down to where you see my mug, the first column there, I know you have a worldwide audience, but for the U.S. audience, if ever it's time for Americans to stand up and fight back, this is it. What we need to do, and I've already done it, is you send a snail mail letter, not email. We need to flood these governors, lieutenant governors, attorney generals, and your state rep and senator. Use one letter, just, type all their names on it, 5 envelopes, but it's all the same one. We are demanding a forensic investigation into the number of cases and deaths in our state. And the reason being that there's been nothing but, and I listed several things, in my column, as I have done for every column that I've, done for months.
Yeah, it's in the first column, worse. Lies and more damnable lies. It's right there.
Because the, confirmed cases, this is unacceptable, Governor so-and-so. We know that they're not confirmed cases. When you have people who have stood in line or have been told to stand in line for 2 or 3 hours, they receive notification that they have to be tested for work or whatever, and they can't stand there for 2 or 3 hours. They go home, and then they get a letter in the mail saying that they test positive and have to be quarantined when they never even got tested. Now, this is going on in a number of states.
Oh, yeah.
So this is what you compact into a one-page letter, and this is what you demand. We want every state or every hospital in the state to submit their data on every patient who died at their facility, listing the cause of death, COVID-19 alone, or COVID-19 with serious health issues. They have to include whether or not the patient was tested for the virus, and if so, what specific test was done and the results. And also, they must include how many times the patient was tested and did they count those additional tests as separate cases. We know that that is going on in this country. We know that the hospitals are using different codes to get more money. And this comes from people within the industry whose job it is the coding. Then we want every funeral home in the state must submit the deceased information and what they were provided as a cause of death by a hospital or wherever the individual passed away. That way, you can cross-check what the funeral home was given and what the hospitals turned in. So this is how you do a forensic analysis. And damn it, Governor so-and-so, and you, my state rep and senator, we want... When you're done, you send it to the White House, and they'll collate all of this information, but you get it out to your state, because the American people destroyed this country, destroyed people. My little sister's been out of work for over 4 months in California, and now she's looking at September, if they're even going to let her do her job. If it wasn't for me and her friends, she'd have been evicted from her apartment and starved to death by now. And I'm certainly not anybody who has a lot of money, but you take care of family when you have to.
Oh, yeah.
We know that there's these Democrat governors have been doing this out of spite, out of hate, and for political reasons. But we have more Republican governors than anything. But if your governor, your attorney general, your state rep and senator, if they don't get on talk radio in your area, everybody around the country's got them. I live in Big Spring, 100 miles north of me is Lubbock. I listen to a station out of Lubbock when I'm in the bedroom putting on my face paint or getting dressed or whatever. And I've called into that radio station to, vent on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But this is what needs to be talked about. The fudged numbers. What needs to be talked about? Hey, I've asked the governor to put together a special task force. We're asking for this, this, and this. Why? Because all of the decisions that these governors and mayors have made have been based on lies. It's been based on false numbers. And we can create such an uproar over this that I believe it could blow things wide open. But you, dear listener, you wonderful people, you have to do it. Don't depend on somebody else to write the letter. Email is so convenient, but you know what? They get thousands and thousands and thousands. And what do you get in return? Canned responses, if you get a response. But a governor's desk that's got 150,000 pieces of paper sitting on it, well, this is an election year, boys and girls, especially for your state rep and senator. Our governor's not up for re-election until 2022, so Greg Abbott could give a shit. But for your state representatives and state senators,
right.
I'm going to be in trouble. So talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your neighbors.
Good.
Get them, get you. It's all laid out in my column. I've instructed you, if you will. This is what you need to do. Here,
I'm going to rerun it. I'll rerun it again.
But
this is good.
We need to do this not only for for what I've mentioned, but we have to remember that at the peak season of the influenza, the quote seasonal influenza, it is October to April. Okay. Now, here in the United States, things were starting. The pressure cooker was building in February. And so was the influenza season. So you had them mixed together. And I suspect a lot of people died from the flu and were listed as COVID-19. So
they're not going to miss a trick. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So come October, we're going to have the flu season again. So do we want to shut down the damn country because this kind of cheating has gone on?
We're not shutting it down anymore, Devvy. We're going to bury it this time. It's over. You do that again, it's over. Well, we cannot survive another shutdown.
No, we cannot survive. But by forcing our state leadership and members of your legislature, by forcing them by sheer volumes of rage by the citizens in every state of the union, even the ones that did not lock down, Governor Noam up there in South Dakota.
Bless her. It's the only one with a brain.
Well, she's done a wonderful job, and the pressure on her has been enormous from all of these agenda-driven maggots. But we need to have all of the states so that all of the numbers, because like I said, when the influenza season starts, it's going to peak in January, February, and March. And we need to get this spotlighted. We need to get this underway because when the real numbers are known, then these governors and mayors who crap their pants immediately, they panicked. They all panicked, said, oh my God, listen to Fauci, listen to Burke, oh my God, we're going to be dropping dead in the streets, oh my God, shut down the state. No. When we have a forensic analysis and we have as close to the numbers as we can get, I believe we are going to see that it is less than the number of deaths for the flu. Now, the most outrageous, of course, is the number of nursing home deaths. almost 41,000 now. That is a tragedy, a human tragedy. Cuomo won't be held, responsible for it.
But for listeners, we should tell the listeners again, Devvy, what Cuomo did. He sent infected patients to live in extended care living facilities with uninfected older people. God only knows how many people he killed. The guy is a criminal.
Yes, in my personal opinion, he may have immunity. I don't know. You'd have to check with the Department of Justice on that.
Oh, I'm sure he does. I'm no doubt. But still, you don't do that. That's insane.
Number one, that they were not prepared to deal with an infectious virus. That's number one.
Nope.
They did not have the equipment. They did not have trained personnel. They were completely, thrown to the wolves. But what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say.
Cuomo,
it must be old age.
Putting people in. No.
At the very least, I believe he should be charged with voluntary manslaughter.
Oh, yes.
If he's not protected by immunity, if I was...
That's beyond negligence. Sorry, it's not. It's beyond negligence. He is not a stupid man. You don't put a match in gasoline. It's insane what he did.
Yeah, well, the clock's ticking. The other thing I wanted to cover, because this is truly important. It doesn't matter how you feel about Donald Trump if you have to hold your nose. We cannot let, whether it's Biden or whoever, we cannot let the Democrats take the House again, the Senate, or the White House. Now, unless I'm not a Republican, I left the party in '96. I do belong to the local Republican, county Republican luncheon club. These are the leaders. Okay. And they allow me to speak every month. And I have educated them for over a year now. They are in shock every week or every month because I give a handout. This is what you need to read. This is what you need to look at. So the biggest threat to Trump is the mail-in ballots. Okay. Now there was a headliner today on Fox News. Ex-Democratic congressman accused of ballot stuffing, bribery, and obstruction. And this guy's a former U.S. Rep, Michael Myers, was charged with conspiring.
Oh, it's Myers. I know this. I know that name from, Okay, Michael Myers.
Fraudulently stuffing ballot boxes for specific candidates in several primary elections, bribery, and obstruction. Now, he did it. He's already pleaded guilty previously in federal court for overseeing the entire election process and all voter activities in his division, and he was crooked in that. But he's been charged for 2014, 2015, and 2016 primary elections, falsifying records, stuffing the ballot boxes, accepting bribes, obstruction of justice. For crying out loud. Look how long it took DOJ to finally bring charges against him. We cannot wait that long. November 3rd, and I think it's going to end up in the courts myself, either one side or the other. But this guy, thankfully, he's going to go to prison, and he may cut some kind of deal, but he's 77 years old, so whatever prison sentence he's going to get is going to be a death sentence for him, and as far as I'm concerned, adios. Satan's waiting. But it's going to take all of us.
You know what? Let me say something. What I've been submitting to people to consider here is to stop playing the label game. Democrat, Republican. Stop playing the game. It's a joke, and the joke's on us. The people who run this planet set that all up to keep most Americans thinking they had a voice, they had a choice, and there was a difference. There's no difference when it comes to the control mechanism of this planet. The matrix is the matrix is the matrix. They don't care. And I put at the top of the homepage, and I'll be revisiting this, the difference on November 3rd is a vote for the Constitution or a vote for communism. And you know I'm right, and that's the difference. That's what we're facing here. It's nothing to do with Democrat and Republican. This is a constitutional republic, or it will become a communist, fascistic state. And that's what they want. That's your choice. Forget who it is. It doesn't matter who's in the White House. It doesn't matter who's in the White House. Joe, the creeper Biden today, held a live streaming event, Devvy. Do you know how many people connected? 19. 19. Whatever. Yeah, you guessed 14. That was a hell of a good guess. Yeah, nobody cares. The guy should be in the Shady Acres mental asylum. We know that. He's not well. It's a joke. If you noticed when Hillary was on with the creeper on that black woman, Joy Reid's program, she never once referred to him as the presumptive nominee or in any shape the nominee. She's playing it again. This is a stealth campaign. She's going to be the candidate. I have not wavered in 3.5+ years. I think she's playing it extraordinarily well. I don't like her. I can't stand any of them, but I do think that that's what's going to come to pass.
Well, we
still do.
Worry. You can't win the Super Bowl if you're worried about the hockey league up in Canada. We need to keep focused on two things right now. Number one, my column, you don't have to read the whole thing if you don't want, but down at the bottom on this forensic analysis, every single state with the information.
Yeah.
The
I'll
other
put it
thing
right
is,
up.
I don't think that most Americans, unless they're activists, have any idea how well-oiled these Democrat and Republican machines are. The party machines, that's what they are.
It's political show biz. Come on, that's what it is.
They're highly organized at the state level, and it takes boots on the ground to get somebody elected. Right. That means we need volunteers at as many precincts as precinct watchers. And after the polls close the next day, we need volunteers. If there's Republicans in your district, I don't care if it's dog catcher all the way up to the White House. If they were supposed to win or they used to win or they're an incumbent, you have to do a forensic analysis of the election. You have to go to the county clerk's office. You have to get the voting sign-in logs. You have to get the voter registrations and a number of other things. I'm going to cover this a couple more times before November. I've already covered it once. But you, whoever's listening audience, you have to become involved. Now, I signed up to go to San Antonio the last week of October for 5 days. And I can't afford it, to be quite honest, but I have to rent an SUV and I have to board my dogs, but they need people like you and me to go out and make sure that these people, getting them registered and making sure that they have transportation to get to the polls, you name it. But like I said, in Texas, the media has been relentless in portraying Texas as going blue. The bigger cities like Austin and Dallas-Fort Worth and Houston have become liberal crap holes. But and I know this for a fact, that the local GOP headquarters, they are signing up more Democrats to vote Republican in November than you can believe. And I know this for a fact. And both of us know somebody who lives near you, who runs a website. He is down at the GOP headquarters 5 days a week. And the number of Democrats coming in and saying they will never vote Democrat again because what's going on in their state and because of they have believed that Trump needs to get reelected. They will not vote for Biden. Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
That's good news.
So now we have this. See, here in Texas, we have 9 seats that if the Democrats flip them in our state legislature, Republicans will lose control of our state legislature. That will be disastrous for the state of Texas. However, the media wants you to think that all people who are Mexican or South American, and I say Mexican and not Latino is because Pew Research, and I know you know who they are. Several years ago, they did a huge poll, and it's the overwhelming number. It was like 75% of
Right.
individuals who were polled whose families came from Mexico did not want to be called Latinos. They didn't want to be called Hispanics. They wanted to be called Mexicans because they were proud of their home country. So
Right.
I make the distinction. So, but you would be surprised at how many they have signed. The Republican Party in this state
I am
signed.
very encouraged to hear this. That's very interesting news.
Well, 2 months ago at our GOP luncheon, the big shot, she's second in command of the state. She's all over this state. They were down in these border towns all across the southern border of Texas, signing up Mexicans or South Americans or who are citizens to vote Republican. And of course, they have the new volunteers signed up in those areas to make sure that if people need to, have transportation, because mail-in ballots so far are not going to be allowed in this state. And to show you how dumb these state civil service are, I got a postcard the other day from the county clerk in Oroville, California, because my brother, I moved him out here last late September, got his house because he's disabled. So his house sold. What the county clerk is the recording agency for home sales for tax purposes. So Richard's house isn't even listed in his name. It hasn't been for what? Let's see, 7, 8, 9 months.
Well, how does that work?
So I get a postcard today addressed to my brother at my P.O. box, which we used when he got here because his apartment wasn't ready. So it's addressed to my brother, and it says, we need your current address so we could send you the mail-in ballot. Excuse me, are you that dumb? Why would you send a card to Texas for somebody to vote in California?
Yeah. Well, they're dumb. They're dumb.
But
Dumb.
It's just another example of incompetency.
Yeah, gross.
And there's no excuse for it. I think I told the story before, but maybe not on your show.
That's funny.
Many years ago, gosh, it'd have to be it was a couple of years after I got to California back in 1997 when my late husband and I moved back there. I was asked to give a speech at the Republican Power Women's Luncheon at a very swanky country club in San Ramon, California.
Right.
And unbeknownst to me, the head of the county clerks, the head of their elections division was there for specifically to listen to me because I was talking about vote fraud. And I found out about a year later from one of the ladies who, organized bringing me there and everything, that they purged their voting rolls. 21% of those registered to vote were ineligible. They were deceased, they were illegals, or they were people who moved and got 2 ballots. They were women who married and did not notify the county clerk of their married name, and so they got 2 ballots, got to vote twice. 21% is enough to throw any election.
Oh, sure. I don't think Comrade Newsom gives a damn about any of this. He wants everybody to vote.
No, he doesn't. But this was, like I said, this was in 1997, 1998, I don't know which year. But it's terribly important. And that's why we have to have a forensic audit in these counties. It's the only way. I have been harping on this until I'm blue in the face, or I should say red in the face, since I wouldn't want to be associated with Democrats. But
cute.
The people, either we're going to defeat them, ladies and gentlemen, or we're not. But I can't be everywhere at once, and the people that at my luncheon every month, they can't be everywhere. It takes all of us to get this done. And yes, it means you have to sacrifice your time, but you need to call your county Republican committee and find out how you can sign up to walk these these districts.
Sure.
They have.
Sure.
Oh, we're running out of time. They have all of this broken down by blocks and by sections. It's amazing how they do this. Now, she told us 2 months ago that in the past 60 days prior to when she was at the meeting, at the luncheon, that they had signed up 80,000 new Republicans in the state of Texas. That's remarkable.
Wow. Well, see, that's what's going to perhaps save, I don't know if save's the right word, but maybe it'll keep the country from going over the edge into the abyss. That kind of activity. That's patriotism. That's wonderful. That's great.
And
we
every
need
time I hear somebody say that, I'm not going to vote, the hell with you then. Get out of my country. It's not just the president. It's your local. You're electing mayors and sheriffs, and there's,
and Agenda 21. Yeah, the whole thing.
Well, remember, Alabama kicked Agenda 21 out of their state, 5 or 6 years ago? They said, no, there'll be no Agenda 21 in the state of Alabama.
If you have a city manager in your city, chances are your government has been sold out to Agenda 21. Just remember that. City manager, independent of all oversight and control, answerable to no one, not the mayor, not the city council, is an autocrat. That's Agenda 21,
one thing I
local
want
government.
The listening audience to think about. Edwin Vera wrote a great column years ago, and it was titled, Defeatism Ensures Defeat. So while we are being crushed, and it seems hopeless, it isn't if we all...
There's more of them than there...
The Democrats
There's more of us than there are them, right? Okay.
Yes, but the Democrats are also incredibly organized. Remember community organizing with the cool dude?
Communism always was. I don't see much difference anymore.
Well,
if we're voting for the Constitution in November, or we're voting for communist socialism, that's it. That's the way I'm going to be presenting it. I don't care who is on the ballot. Oh yes. Oh yes. All right, wonderful motivational speaker of the decade, Devvy Kid.
But I
seriously,
want to leave you with this image. I'm looking at a picture of Anthony Fauci dressed in the Washington Nationals baseball uniform. He's got his mask on, and he threw the ball like the little toad that he is. It was completely off where he was supposed to be throwing it. The little piece of crap. He's a dweeb.
Well, next time you can tell us what you really think. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, it was nice talking to you. And
Always
don't forget
is.
to look at my column, everybody. We need to get this done with the forensic
I'm going to put it back up right near the top. All right. Thanks, Devvy.
Okay.
Talk soon.
Okay. Everybody stay well, stay safe, and fight back.
Great. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
All right. See ya. She's amazing. Words to the wise, and you are the wise.